Seen that whatever alcohol we take, that is immediately converted into fatty liver in the liver, and it gets accumulated in the liver, so that chronic and excessive consumption of alcohol always leads to fatty liver in 90% of the cases. Out of them, only 10 to 20% of the persons are gets alcoholic hepatitis, and in these alcoholic hepatitis patients, after 10 years they convert into alcoholic cirrhosis. So this chronic and excessive consumption of the alcohol is the leading cause for the alcoholic cirrhosis. Besides that, women are more susceptible to alcohol because of the estrogen hormone in them. So malnutrition is the contributory factor, because chronic gastritis and chronic pancreatitis always leads to malnutrition, and it is seen that when a patient on alcoholic cirrhosis is put on protein rich diet, there is a marked clinical and morphological improvement. The infection accelerates the course of the disease. No definite genetic fraction has been found to be attached with this alcoholism, ethanol metabolism changing into this alcoholic cirrhosis. Then the hepatitis C infection, concurrent infection with hepatitis C virus in chronic alcoholic always leads to alcoholic disease, then to alcoholic cirrhosis, and ultimately to hepatocellular carcinoma, the malignancy of the liver. So pathogenesis, how does it actually act, is not clear cut, but ethanol and its metabolic products are responsible in chronic alcoholics, because ethanol is directly hepatotoxic to microtubules and mitochondria of the hepatocytes, whereas its metabolic products like acetaldehyde by two of its adduct production of protein aldehyde added brings cellular necrosis, and there is a when there is a intermediate product, that is the formation of malodialdehyde acetaldehyde MAA, that produces autoantibodies and initiates the autoimmune response in this cirrhosis, and it also leads to hepatic fibrinogenesis. Then there is a oxidation of this ethanol. In that very process, free radicals are liberated, which damages the cell membrane. Inflammation of the intestine by the ethanol causes damage to intestinal cells, and then there is cytokines are liberated along with tumor necrosis factor and leukotrienes, which damages the hepatic cells. So next changes is seen in cirrhosis is the fibrinogenesis. This fibrinogenesis is brought by the ETO cells or stellate cells found in the sinusoids of the liver, and it gets activated by the damaged hepatocytes and malodialdehyde acetaldehyde by activated Kupffer cells and direct stimulants by acetaldehyde. Besides that, during ethanol metabolism, there is lactic acidosis, which causes the fatty liver to pass on to alcoholic cirrhosis. Retention of proteins and water in the liver cells, because the alcohol does not allow these proteins and water to escape out from the hepatocytes. They get accumulated, causing the swelling of the hepatocytes, what we call ballooning of the hepatocytes, that causes the enlargement of the liver. So in chronic alcoholics, there is always a fat load in the liver, because the increased amount of fat is subjected to liver by dietary source, because the patient eats up too much, excessive metabolism from adipose tissue, and there is an increased lipid synthesis also. So all these factors constitutes to this increased liver fat. Morphological features, if we grossly examine the fatty liver, then it will be seen as enlarged yellow greasy form with a smooth glistening capsule. Microscopically, there is microvesicular droplets of fat in hepatocytic cytoplasm. That microvesicular droplets enlarges in the size and becomes macrovesicular droplets of fat. Now it displaces the nucleus to the periphery and it changes into fat cells. These fat cells is then surrounded by lymphocytes, macrophages and multinucleated giant cells, causing a picture of lipogranuloma. So this is the fatty liver. When there is a heavy drinking, then it sets acute onset of alcoholic hepatitis, and when these alcoholic hepatitis is repeated several times, that leads to this alcoholic cirrhosis. So when in alcoholic hepatitis there is hepatocellular necrosis, single or group of hepatocytes in zone 3 undergoes necrosis, first ballooning degeneration, and then it changes into then there is a necrotic changes in the hepatocytes. Eosinophilic intracytoplasmic inclusions in the perinuclear space is seen in the ballooned and swollen hepatocytes. These eosinophilic intracytoplasmic inclusions are the cytoskeleton intermediate filaments or pre-keratin, which is very suggestive of alcoholic hepatitis, but it is not specific to alcoholic hepatitis because it is also found in primary biliary cirrhosis, Indian childhood cirrhosis and Wilson's disease. Besides this hepatocellular necrosis, Mallory bodies, there is an inflammatory response by polymorphs and mononuclear cells. There is fibrosis also, but that fibrosis is along with the pericellular and perivenular type. That means there is fibrosis around the hepatocytes and around the veins, so that it gives a wave-like appearance or chicken wire appearance, what we call creeping collagenesis. So this alcoholic cirrhosis is the most common type of cirrhosis, found in 60 to 70% of all cases of cirrhosis. And to start with, this alcoholic cirrhosis, there is a micronodules, which that means the nodular size is less than 3 millimeter, large and fatty liver up to 3 kg, but at the end, after years, the liver shrinks below to 1 kg, and non-fatty macronodular type more than 3 millimeter of nodules are seen. So this gives a picture of tawny yellow color. The liver looks like tawny yellow color. That is called cirrhosis, on which name cirrhosis has been given. On cut section, the fibrous septa are also found. So this alcoholic cirrhosis is also called Lennox cirrhosis after the name of the discoverer. It is portal cirrhosis because the portal tract is involved, and this is also called hobnail cirrhosis because it resembles like nails which are fitted in the sole of shoes of the athletes. Their nodules, micronodules, look like this hobnail. Therefore, they are called hobnail cirrhosis. Now, in the malnutrition cases, the nodules are also micronodular type. Therefore, it is called nutritional cirrhosis. And so far, micronodular cirrhosis because of the size of the nodules. So this alcoholic cirrhosis is a progressive liver disease. Once it starts, it goes on, and microscopically when it is seen, there is a nodular pattern of liver. Normal lobular pattern is lost. Central veins are very difficult to locate because of the fibrosis all around. Fibrous septa divides the hepatic parenchyma cells into nodules, gradually become more dense, and hepatic parenchyma, which there is necrosis of the hepatocytes, and the peripheral hepatocytes undergoes proliferation and forms the regenerative nodules, but in a very disorganized way. Gradually, the fat content in the early disease is lost and replaced by the fibrous tissue. So, in the last, there is an inverse relation of fat and the fibrous septa. When it is investigations are done, then the picture of progressive form of this disease is noticed. There is elevated transaminases level of the SGPT and SGOT, rise in alpha glutaminyl transpeptidase, elevated alkaline phosphatase, hyperbilirubinemia, hypoalbuminemia with reversal of the albumin globulin ratio. There is a prolonged prothrombin time and partial thromboplastin time. Patient becomes anemic. Neutrophilia and leukocytosis are found in alcoholic hepatitis. So this was the picture of alcoholic cirrhosis. Now, after the viral hepatitis, the cirrhotic changes also takes place in liver, but we call it post-hepatic cirrhosis or post-necrotic cirrhosis or macronodular cirrhosis, because it is the nodule so formed is more than of 3 millimeter size. This post-hepatic cirrhosis is characterized by large and irregular broad bands of connective tissue, and the cause of this post-hepatic cirrhosis is the viral hepatitis acute, because all the hepatitis B, C, D viruses, hepatotrophic viruses, which causes a viral hepatitis. From acute hepatitis, it passes into chronic hepatitis, and then it passes into cirrhosis. In 25% cases, if there is a hepatitis B and hepatitis C infection, and this cirrhosis after 20 to 30 years changes into hepatocellular carcinoma. Besides this viral hepatitis B and C, drugs and chemical hepatotoxin like phosphorus, carbon tetrachloride, mushroom poisoning, acetaminophen and methyl dropa are the drugs which causes post-necrotic cirrhosis, and sometimes infections and metabolic drugs, advanced alcoholic liver diseases also changes into post-necrotic cirrhosis, as I have told you. Besides this, there is a group of cirrhosis of which cause is not known, so we call it idiopathic cirrhosis. So far the morphology is concerned, it is macronodular type. On gross examination, it is a small, less than 1 kg, distorted shape with irregular scars and variable nodules. So microscopically, when it is examined, there is a normal lobular pattern is lost and replaced by the nodules. Central veins and the portal tracts are spared, which is not in the case of alcoholic cirrhosis, in which the central veins and portal tracts are involved. Fibrous septa, they are thick, dividing nodules, and these fibrous septa also have mononuclear cells which form follicles if the hepatitis C virus has infected the liver. There is no active necrosis is seen, and there is extensive proliferation of the bile ductules. Surviving hepatic cells vary in size and regenerates nodules. So clinical manifestations and complications of cirrhosis. So symptoms varies from asymptomatic state to progressive liver failure, and this progressive liver failure, when sets in, it leads to death because of hepatic coma, about which we will just study. Massive gastrointestinal hemorrhage from the varices, intercurrent infection, hepatorenal syndrome and hepatic cell carcinoma. So this is the death of the cirrhotic patients, which is inevitable, and there may be insidious onset and advanced cases. Insidious onset, that is with prodromal stages of nausea, vomiting, low-grade fever, and in advanced cases, there are complications of cirrhosis. Among them, there is a portal hypertension. Portal hypertension, it means then whenever there is a obstruction to portal blood flow, this obstruction to portal blood flow is because of the cirrhosis of liver, and in that cirrhosis there is fibrosis, thrombosis, nodules which obstructs the portal blood flow. Normal portal venous pressure is 10 to 20 millimeter of saline. If it is more than 30 millimeter of saline, then we call it portal hypertension. It may be intrahepatic, as we have seen in cirrhosis, post-hepatic as in congestive heart failure, pre-hepatic when there is a portal vein thrombosis. So major sequelae of the portal hypertension is the ascites. This ascites, we call it excessive accumulation of fluid in the peritoneal cavity. This fluid is transudate because the protein content is less than 3 gram per 100 ml, and it is clinically detectable when more than 500 ml of this transudate fluid is accumulated in the peritoneal cavity. The cause of this ascites is because there is a decreased plasma osmotic pressure because of low albumin synthesis by the cirrhotic liver, and there is increased hydrostatic pressure by raised portal hypertension. Then the next complication of cirrhosis of which the patient dies is the varices. You know that there is a porta systematic collateral channels called varices. This is porta systematic shunts. But whenever there is a rise in portal system venous pressure by any obstruction, then the blood is bypassed from the liver and returns to heart by the development of porta systematic collaterals, which are found in the esophageal as a esophageal varices and hemorrhoids in the lower GIT. And when there is a rise in portal venous pressure, then there is a massive hemorrhage from these sides. Besides this, there is a caput medusa, that is the dilated subcutaneous vein radiating from the umbilical cord, and then splenomegaly is because of the prolonged hypertension. Lastly, because there is a porta systematic shunt, the nitrogenous waste substances are not metabolized by the liver. That means the nitrogenous product is not converted into ammonia and into urea. They are directly bypassed from the liver and reaches to the brain, and there they causes the neurological symptoms, and patient passes into hepatic coma. So this is the stage. Hepatic coma is the hepatic failure, and it occurs in two conditions: when there is acute hepatic failure, which is sudden onset and has a bad prognosis, or chronic hepatic failure, that is insidious onset, that occurs in cirrhosis, chronic active hepatitis, chronic cholestasis. The cause are acute viral hepatitis, which causes acute hepatic failure. In that, there is acute fulminant hepatic failure, and hepatotoxic drugs are there also. Anesthetic agent, NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, antidepressants, all these causes acute hepatic failure of sudden onset with a very bad prognosis. Signs and symptoms in both acute and chronic hepatic failure is the jaundice, because the liver cannot metabolize the bile pigment. In acute condition, it is very much parallel to the liver injury, but in chronic it is very late and it is very mild degree. Now this acute there is a hepatic encephalopathy or hepatic coma, because the toxic products not metabolized by the liver, in which patient manifests as disturbed consciousness, personality changes, intellectual deterioration, and flapping tremors. That is the tremor, involuntary movement in the hands. Ultimately, patient becomes unconscious and dies. Besides there, because there is a systematic vasodilatation and pooling of blood in portal circulation, increased splenic blood flow, there is a increased cardiac output leading to tachycardia and low blood pressure. So there is a decreased renal blood flow and there is a renal failure without any cause of the renal origin. Patient has oliguria and uremia with good tubular function, what we call hepatorenal syndrome. Similarly, the blood supply to the lungs are less, which causes hepatopulmonary syndrome. Coagulation defect, there is impaired synthesis of a number of coagulation factor. Ascites, as I have already told you, ascites and edema. Endocrinal changes, gynecomastia in the males and hypogonadism because of the hormonal imbalance. Besides that, there is a skin changes, arterial spider, palmar edema are noticed, and the smell of these cirrhotic patients are very sweetish pungent smell of breath because the sulfur containing substances are not detoxified in the liver, absorbed from the gut. So there is a sweetish pungent smell of fruit. There is called Fetor hepaticus. So this is all about the cirrhosis. Besides this, there are other types of cirrhosis which is not of in which the pathology is not in the liver, but so we have categorized it other types of cirrhosis, in which one is the biliary cirrhosis. It is because of the long continued cholestatic effect that may be intrahepatic or extrahepatic, that is by prolonged mechanical obstruction of extrahepatic biliary passage. This is also initially the liver is enlarged but becomes small, bile duct destruction is there, and then there is a fibrous scarring in interconnecting portal tract. Well formed micronodules are seen, but the cause is cholestasis. So there is a primary biliary cirrhosis of unknown etiology when the stasis is in the intrahepatic ducts. Secondary, when this cholestasis is in the by the obstruction in extrahepatic biliary passage, and sometimes there are autoimmune cholangiopathy or primary sclerosing cholangitis. It is of unknown etiology. Besides, there is a hemochromatosis, pigment cirrhosis. It is an iron storage disorder in which there is excessive accumulation of iron in parenchymal cells, leading to tissue damage and functional inefficiency of the organ where they get deposited. If it is deposited, iron is deposited in liver, it leads to micronodular pigment cirrhosis. If it is deposited in pancreas, it is called bronze diabetes. And if it is in the pituitary gland, there is a skin pigmentation, so it is also called bronze diabetes. This cirrhosis may occur in the autosomal recessive inherited disorder of copper metabolism, in which there is excessive accumulation of copper in liver producing cirrhosis. In eye, it produces greenish brown pigment around the cornea as Kessler-Fisher rings, and in the brain there is a bilateral degeneration of both basal ganglia. Cirrhosis in alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, the enzyme produced in the liver and its activity is in their lungs, so they both are liver if involved, it produces cirrhosis. In liver lungs, it produces emphysema. Cardiac cirrhosis, this is cardiac cirrhosis in which the liver are changes in the liver of cirrhosis in nature, but it is because of the cardiac origin. In right-sided congestive heart failure, like emphysema, pulmonale, tricuspid regurgitation of the valve, constructive pericarditis. These are the diseases of heart which causes back pressure in right ventricle, and that back pressure in through the inferior vena cava reaches to liver, where the changes of cirrhosis occurs. Therefore, it is called cardiac cirrhosis. So next is the Indian childhood cirrhosis. It is found between 6 months to 3 years in rural middle classes because of the toxic effects of the copper metabolism, because the foods are cooked in the copper utensils. Here again there is a ballooning degeneration of hepatocytes, Mallory bodies are there, but there is a no fatty changes are seen. So there is a creeping fibrosis and micronodular type is seen. Besides that, there is a copper deposits in liver cells. So this is all. Besides this, so this is all about the cirrhosis. In the next class, we will study something about the gallbladder. Thank you. Today we will discuss the disease which is the progressive and chronic liver disease with systematic inflammation and an immunodeficiency state. So the disease which is the final phase of all progressive and chronic liver disease is the cirrhosis. Cirrhosis, it is the irreversible end stage of several diffuse disease causing hepatocellular injury, and it is characterized by 4 features: that it involves whole of the liver, and it is the normal lobular architecture of liver cells becomes disorganized, formation of nodules which is separated by the irregular bands of fibrosis. It is as a result of hepatocellular necrosis of varying etiology, presenting as alternate areas of necrosis and regenerating nodules. So these 4 features characterizes the disease cirrhosis, which is the end stage of all the liver diseases. So whatever may be the cause, the process in this disease is initiated by the hepatocellular necrosis. That necrosis of the hepatocytes causes collapse of normal hepatic lobular cells, which is followed by the fibrosis around the necrotic liver cells. These fibrosis is from portal to portal or portal to central or central to central type. The mechanism of this fibrosis is not clearly known, but there is an increased synthesis of all types of collagen by the collagen producing cells. These fat storing eto cells under the sinusoidal epithelium of the liver, that is, transforms into myofibroblasts and fibrocytes, which produces collagen, and that is the way by which the fibrosis starts taking place in this disease. A stimulus for this conversion of the fat storing cells into the myofibroblast is not known exactly. The possible cause may be the lymphokines. So the hepatic cells in necrosis takes place in the hepatic cells, and there is a fibrosis, and along with these 2 features there is a proliferation of the ductules and the formation of regenerative nodules. This regenerative nodules is from the remaining hepatocytes, which undergoes compensatory proliferation takes place of the hepatocytes. The cause of this proliferation or hyperplasia of the liver cells is possibly by the growth factors or hormonal imbalance. So this cirrhosis, in which there is a regeneration of the hepatocytes in the form of nodules separated by the irregular bands of fibrosis. These two characters, on the basis of the morphology and etiology, their cirrhosis has been classified in three types on the basis of morphology: micronodular type, macronodular type, and mixed type. Micronodular, in which the nodules are less than of 3 cm size, which is regular and small. There is a diffuse involvement of all the hepatic lobules at a time, which is followed by the formation of nodules and thick fibrous septa. This micronodule formation is as a result of alcoholic cirrhosis and nutritional cirrhosis. It represents the impaired capacity of the regrowth as occurs in chronic alcoholism, malnutrition, and extremes of old age. The next type is the macronodular type, in which the size of nodules so formed is more than 3 mm, which is of irregular pattern, and there is a more evidence of regeneration. It corresponds to post-necrotic or post-hepatic cirrhosis. That means this type of macronodular formation takes place after the viral hepatitis, certain types of viral hepatitis. So this may be active, that means the process of nodule formation and fibrosis may be active, that is continuing hepatic necrosis and inflammation as in chronic hepatitis. And there may be inactive, no evidence of continuing necrosis and inflammation is there. So there's active or inactive form of these cirrhotic changes may be seen. Next is the this classification. The cirrhosis has been classified on the basis of the etiology, that means which on the basis of the agent. It is of two types: alcoholic liver disease, which may be because of acute or chronic alcoholic abuse, and the next one is the post-necrotic cirrhosis or post-hepatic cirrhosis after the certain types of viral hepatitis. This type of cirrhosis takes place. So in acute and chronic alcoholic abuse, only 10 to 15% of alcoholic abuse persons develop this cirrhosis, and remaining are, the majority are spared. Why does it occur? How does it occur? It is still explained that only 10 to 15% of alcoholic abuse persons, they have got the alcoholic liver disease, which ranges from alcoholic steatosis, that is fatty liver, followed by alcoholic hepatitis, inflammation in the liver because of alcohol, finally alcoholic cirrhosis, cirrhotic changes in the liver. So before going into this alcoholic cirrhosis, we should know about the ethanol metabolism. That means the alcohol, whatever we take, that 1 gram of alcohol, if we take, gives 7 calories of energy. But the worst part is that these 7 calories cannot be stored in the body or cannot be utilized for the nutrition. It immediately undergoes oxidation in the liver by the two enzymes, alcoholic dehydrogenase enzyme in cytosol, which produces this alcohol, converts this alcohol into acetaldehyde, which the acetaldehyde is very toxic to the hepatocytes, and there is a necrosis of the hepatocytes by this acetaldehyde. And in step 2, by the acetaldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme in mitochondria, it converts into acetate. So 90% of this alcohol gets oxidized into acetate, and which finally oxidizes to carbon dioxide, hydrogen, H2O, and these fatty acids